Hello.
Hello, Ellen. We are here. I'm now recording. So
Okay, great.
we're past
Thank
the.
you for bearing with me.
That's okay. We're past the technical issues, and we're here now. That's all that matters. How are you?
True. I'm good. We're actually sitting in a theater in New York City right now, in the middle of rehearsal. So
Wow.
yeah,
Are you rehearsing
pretty
the
good.
show that you're about to take to the Fringe?
I am. I'm rehearsing pretty good, not bad. And we're doing 2 shows in New York before we head to the Fringe.
Wow. No.
Um,
And so
next
so
week.
and so, at what stage are you with rehearsals? Is this a dress rehearsal? Is this or?
Yeah, we're in dress right now. So working out the rest of the kinks, but I think we're there. We're
Wow.
feeling pretty good. Yeah.
And so how's the rehearsals going? Have you had an opportunity to perform this to an audience at all before, or is this going to be your first time performing it?
So we've done 2 small test audiences in LA, and then this will be our first real preview where we got 2 sold out shows, and yeah, it's feeling good.
Wow. So
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about the show. Pretty good, not bad. Tell me what is the show about?
So the show stems from my own personal experience with the justice system about 2 years ago. I wrote it all about something that happened to me 2 years ago, where I was walking home and I was being stalked, and I got assaulted in my apartment building. Sounds heavy, but it's a dark comedy. That's something I do love about the Fringe, is I've been reading everyone's synopsis, and it's like, this horrible thing happened to me, but look, I'm making light of it. I'm making art of it. I think that's why it's like the perfect place for this kind of show.
Yeah, what an interesting thing for to do to because you wrote this. This is your story. So do you perform
Yes.
yourself within the piece?
Yeah. I'm a version of myself within the piece. I'm like a heightened version of myself within it. And it's probably a version of myself that I wish I could be more so in my day-to-day life. So it's giving me that permission.
I think some people outside of theatre, outside of performing and writing, might not fully understand why you would do that, why you would tell your truth, why you would get out there and be, you've described something that sounded fairly horrendous without going into too much detail,
Yeah.
but yet you're prepared to share that with the world. Why would you do that?
I think it's an instinct for an artist to try and explore those aspects of yourself, and be honest about them. I think to people that are outside of maybe the theater world or film world might for sure think that's crazy, but then they also connect with it. I think that's why we seek out art of that kind of form, of where we can go into the nitty gritties of ourselves and just be honest about it.
It's very brave of you to do that. It's yeah, like I say, vulnerable. It's very, you're putting yourself in a position that's fully open. I know how hard it can be to write fiction and bear your thoughts and your soul when you're writing fiction, but when you're writing a truth,
Yeah.
tell me about that process. Take me back to when you decided that you wanted this story to be heard.
So about I did this storyteller series in October of this year, and it was my first time performing any of my writing in front of an audience, and I think as everything that has been going on with our industry the last 4 or 5 years with COVID and the strikes and stuff, the start and go of everything and waiting for that permission from others has been frustrating. And I found doing this storyteller series to feel like I got an aspect of my voice that I had never explored really. And afterwards, someone came up to me and was like, you should think about doing the Fringe. I was like, I never even thought of doing something like that. And then I realized I had started to journal a lot the last couple of years, and it was something that I loved to do. I loved writing, and I just had never considered myself a writer before. It's funny how sometimes you lock yourself in such like specific artistic identities, and then it just crashes down all of a sudden. And so then I started thinking about like what kind of show I would want to bring. And I wrote out this list of things that had happened to me. And this incident was actually the bottom of the list. And I was like, I don't know if I can write about that. It's going to be tricky. How do I perform that? But then the more free writing I did, I realized it had to be about that because it was still something I'm processing, and I felt like putting it into some thing might be the best cathartic experience for me. So yeah, and then
with your
started
list,
workshopping it, and yeah.
I was going to say, so with you, when you had this list of other shows, these other options, because you had this idea of going to the Fringe, what drew you to this piece above all of the others? When you said it was at the bottom of the list at one point, how did it go from being at the bottom of the list to being the one?
Because I felt like everything in my life was really meta at the time.
Okay.
I was auditioning for a bunch of true crime procedurals. So I was going in, or I was taping and going in for these procedurals, and then at the same time having this experience with the criminal justice system. And I was like, wow, this is all mirroring each other in this really interesting way. And in some ways, I was enjoying the the fantasy version more so than I was my reality, because I was getting to play out different endings, and having some form of closure within it all. So I think just all those layers, I was like, okay, I'm being pushed towards this. And sometimes you have that little voice in the back of your head that's saying, this is what it is. This is what you're doing. This is what you're making. And you got to listen to it.
Yeah, listening to that voice can be quite a challenge, can't it? Listening to that inner voice, that almost like listening to your heart rather than your head. Listening to what you're drawn to. I often wonder if there's something guiding us into a certain direction with our art. If there is,
I think so.
Yeah, have you got any idea what that may be?
I mean, I think it's intuition. I don't know. I sometimes picture myself like a little sailboat getting blown around, and if I don't fight it, I actually wind up going the right direction. If that makes any sense.
Complete sense to me. Complete sense. When I've tried to pursue things creatively, and I've tried to force the subject or force the thing for what I think I want, it doesn't and it hasn't worked out for me. However, when I've, like you say, in that's a great metaphor, that being a sailboat, and I've gone with the wind and I've gone with the tide, it's been such a more pleasant journey, and it's actually been the thing that I needed rather than the thing that I wanted.
Exactly.
Which in the
and
long
the
run,
other thing, yeah, like, and sorry, just to jump in on
no,
that,
of
like
course,
the other thing is to, I think when you make something because you want an audience to like you, or it's fabricated in a certain way, I don't think that ever connects. I think I think people connect naturally to things that they know are real.
truth is so important
Yeah,
within all this art, even truth within the fiction, that when we're
totally.
writing fiction, that when we're playing a part that's not ourselves. I said to someone recently about being an actor that I for years tried to be an actor and wanted to separate myself as much as possible from the part. But when I realised that it was important for me to find my truth within the part, to find me there, I felt like I opened something new up and was more embraced by audiences, and I felt that I was finding an authenticity in a part, in the storytelling, that wasn't there when I tried to separate.
Yeah, and I think that's I think that's the like animal aspect of us.
Yeah,
I think we can sniff out.
we can see the fake, can't
We
we?
can sniff it out. We know. I think it's. I think we all know when each other are lying. I think we just maybe ignore it.
But we can see it particularly with actors, can't we? We can
Yeah.
tell. I think when we look at an actor and say they're a bad actor, because we can see that they're being fake. When I was a bad actor, I was being, and I have been
Yeah.
I have been a bad actor, and
Same.
you
We
know,
all have. We
and
all have.
and that was when I look back and review myself. When I look back and I go, what went wrong there? Yeah, that was to do with me trying to be something I wasn't. Not play and not act, but actually be something that I wasn't. That if
Yeah.
there's some roles that I played when I was younger that I wish I could go back to. I wish I could revisit them in order to find this new. Now I've got this new mindset of being truthful. That maybe I
Yeah.
may play them in a different way.
I think I'm really curious after doing this or having this experience, how it's going to change me as an actor and more of something separate of myself, because I think there's a groundedness that comes from this, that like from here on out, I really want any acting experience I have to mean what I say what I mean, and even if it's someone else's words, like finding that seed of truth in all of it, no matter what.
That's actually a really deep and beautiful thing to want from your craft, actually, isn't it? Something that will change you, that will enhance your life. It doesn't sound to me like
Hopefully.
it doesn't sound to me like you're the type of actor that's going out there to seek fame. It looks like you're discovering something within your art.
I mean, hopefully, yeah. I mean, we all want to work, and I'm honest about that. But no, I don't think that's my end all be all. I think the thing that gets me more excited about all of this is the people you meet, the experiences you have, the art you create. I think the other stuff is pretty fickle, and I think it probably gets worn out pretty quick.
Whereas that
Yeah.
that genuine stuff, that like you said, meeting people, the making connections, the experiencing life, they're all priceless and precious things that have longevity, don't they?
Definitely. I mean, it's like joining the circus. I mean,
Yeah,
I think that's what all I'm trying to do is join the circus.
yeah. And
you know.
and like you said at the beginning of this, that you've found this to be in some ways quite cathartic. You've found perhaps some therapy within this so far. Tell me a little
For
bit more.
sure.
Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that was my initial goal for it all, but I think it's naturally happened, because I'm getting this form of closure within this thing that I'm never going to get closure from. And that I find that is very cathartic. And I think, I don't know, I'm also excited to see what like a longer run with it will feel like, because I think it's going to feel different every time I perform it. We've been finding that a lot in rehearsal.
You
That
sound
there's things
very.
that
You
you get
sound very.
angry about that you didn't think you were angry about, you get sad about that you didn't think you were sad about. It's really wild.
You sound very open to possibilities and discovery.
Yes, I very much am.
Where
I think actors are. I think creators naturally are.
yes, yeah. Whereas some people that do go through a hard thing and a difficult thing and a traumatic thing, like you describe, it may be quite natural to close up and go into defence. So, do you think what the way that you're coping and that you're dealing with the situation that happened to you, do you think that's for everyone?
No, I definitely don't. I think everyone has a different process with it. And I don't want to prescribe any form of process to anybody, but I think with anything traumatic, you you're gonna have your good days and your bad days, and it's gonna come up or it's gonna disappear for a long time, and then all of a sudden it comes back up. I don't know. I guess my approach has been to be as open as possible with doing this play, but I still think, like, yeah, there's still like aspects of it that I still don't even understand, and I probably never will. And I think that's probably the most universal feeling.
Yeah, and some questions in life, yeah, like you say, we may never fully get a grip on, but if we can find some way to help us move forward
Yeah,
without it being a weight on us, without
of
it
course.
controlling our life, and
Yeah,
maybe you've found a way to turn this bad experience into something positive, and maybe there's something also there for the audience. Maybe there's something
definitely.
there for. It sounds to me like there's something there that you're potentially giving from this. What are your hopes that
Yeah.
this gives to the audience then?
Well, I'm hoping for. I know. I mean, I know in an audience, especially audience of women. I don't think I have one friend who hasn't had some sort of instance that they're still confused about or trying to process. So I'm hoping there's a community in that, and I'm hoping there's a community in the confusion of it, and that that it's so complex, and it's and maybe it's just starting more of a conversation about it all. And the play has like a lot of aspects of like how we perform trauma for other people, and how we try and make other people comfortable with things that happen to us. That's the instinct within things. So I'm hoping other people see themselves in that, and that you don't need to put up as much of a face for people. And I'm definitely hoping that it is turning something sad into a positive for sure. I think by the end of Fringe, I'll feel like I achieved something through all this.
Oh, definitely. Even just, I had a realization when I was talking to a writer performer yesterday that you consider how many writers there are in the world, that a lot of writers may attempt at writing and it may never see the light of day, let alone getting it to an audience at the Fringe. And that's such a massive achievement, just being there, just going to the festival, isn't it? That's something to be proud of in and of itself.
For sure. I mean, and also coming from New York there, it feels even more. I'm just so stoked. I'm so excited. Especially because I studied in London for a little bit, and I had heard all the stories about Fringe, and so now to be years later going, it just feels like a full circle moment.
Tell me about those stories, because I've also, having been in theatre all my life, 20 plus years in directing, acting, producing, I've never been to the Fringe. I'm ashamed of it. It just
Oh, wow.
it has never it is just, the timing's never worked out for me. Family things and other businesses and stuff. But I've never had that opportunity. I'm going for the first time this year.
Amazing! I hope you come see our show.
Oh, 100%. I'll be there. I'll be front row.
Great.
But I've heard the stories as well. I've heard the excitement, the buzz, and I've had this long pulling to be there. And I wonder, as someone from the United States, and you've visited this country, what is it that you've heard about it, and what is the connection and the pulling that you've felt to the place?
I just heard that it was grungy but amazing. Do you know what I mean? Where people are all pulling strings and we're just trying to get into these little rooms together to watch each other perform these things that we've been probably performing in our own bedrooms at some point in time. And applauding the little kid that has to do a show in their room now as like an adult. And all the friendships that have formed from it. I heard about all this about the Fringe pre-Fleabag, pre-Baby Reindeer, and I mean it's crazy to see how it's now blown up. But it felt like this rite of passage as a actor or a writer, to be thrust into this, please come to my show, here's a flyer, come, will you come, bring your mom, bring your grandma. Yeah, I'm just so excited for all of that.
It is
a whirlwind.
It's an exciting time, and I guess the next couple of weeks in the build up to you is also quite full on. With how many shows did you say that you're doing in New York?
So we're doing 2 in New York, and then we fly out a day later. Yeah. So I think it's a perfect way to lead up.
Yeah, I was wondering, do you consider them to be kind of a warm up for the Fringe, or are they performances even on kind of themselves?
They're previews, but I feel like, I mean, I think it's a great way. It's a great send off to the Fringe for sure, because it's all of our friends and families and colleagues coming in that are stateside based. So it felt like perfect timing.
And so do you feel that there may be, being the writer as well as it's just you in this show?
Yes.
And so solo show, just you, and you have a director. You do have a director,
yes.
Don't you, working on this as well? So it's you're not just completely solo.
Rachel McBath, I love her.
And how did you bring the director into this piece?
So it was kind of crazy. we have a bunch of mutual friends, but we had never had proper work together. And again, I've been going off instinct for most of this. And I decided when I was in LA, because she's LA based, that I would just ask her if she was interested in doing this in January. And we got a drink and she said absolutely. And then we just started working on this, and she's been super helpful in the development of it, because I do think you need some outside, you need someone you really trust to give you those outside thoughts, so that you're not just rolling around.
Yeah, you got.
And
as an actor, it's hard to look at things subjectively, to look at things from the audience perspective, because we can't be there, can we? So we do need someone on the outside looking in that can help mold you in the way that works for an audience rather than just for yourself.
Yeah, and she had directed a play in LA that I had heard such great things about, and I knew that she had done a bunch of development, so I felt like she could really help pull this piece to where it needed to be,
And what would you say that the director has added to the piece that perhaps that you didn't even know was there when you was writing it and when you started to perform on your own? What's different now that you have your director involved?
Rachel she naturally understood the tensions that where all the push-pull moments are, that I don't think I could see because I'm in it, Mm-hmm. And so she knew how to pull those out and really shine a light on those, because I think that's what we love about like a dramatic piece, is those tensions between something going one way and then it actually is needing to go the other way, and also like your feelings of something being darkly funny, but also it's really dark, but also it's very funny. So she was really great at highlighting all of those moments.
And will you be there as a team at the Fringe?
We will. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're doing the whole thing together.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And so
really
when
happy to have her.
When does it start for you then? Because the Fringe has started already. There is already a lot going on up there. So, when do you start being involved?
Our first show is the 12th, and we get in on the 10th. So hopefully I'm not too jet lagged by then. We're an early show, so we want to start everyone's day off right. Mm-hmm. And get it all going.
And where is it that you can be found if anyone was listening to this? Where are you performing?
We're at the Space UK. We're in the Stevenson Theatre first at 10 a.m. and then we're in the Haldane Theatre the next week at 11. Great. Yeah.
Well, I do look forward to coming to see the show. I want to say that I'm excited to see it after talking to you. I know that the subject is hard. I know that it might not have the comedy there. It might be a bit dark at times.
Yeah, I feel like maybe I've made this too dark and stormy, but you will feel taken care of. I promise I'm not getting up there and it's too intense for anybody.
Well, tell me a little bit more about that then. So, if I picked up your flyer and you started telling me about the backstory of this, and I was like, oh yeah, this sounds a bit of a dark watch, and I do like a darker theatre, and I do like theatre that makes me think. I don't think it all has to have comedy in it.
Yeah.
But tell me as someone then that's coming to watch this show, how I should receive it.
I mean, I think if you like true crime, a lot of people love watching those procedurals. They find them as a comfort, I think, and that's kind of the vein of the show. It's bouncing in and out of that. I'm the true crime.
Yeah.
I'm the story of it. So there's levity in that, and there's a lot of winking at the audience within that as well. So people won't feel thrust into just darkness at all.
There is an element of light there, and I guess that's something that helps us all through it, and that gives us the opportunity to think. It gives us the opportunity to not just go into the dark place and close off, but those moments of light sound like they're the moments that pull us through.
Definitely. And I think it's poking fun at the entertainment of it all, that we all find in a good old procedural.
So tell me, as we wrap this conversation up, what are your hopes and dreams? We've kind of touched on it already. What are your hopes and dreams for the festival?
I hope that we get as many people as possible to see our show. I hope we make a ton of friends. I hope we see a bunch of work that inspires us. I hope we have an experience that we remember forever. I hope we get to stage this show again, either in the UK or again in New York or LA. I feel like we're setting this on fire, and just want to see how far it burns or how long it burns.
and bringing it back to a more personal note, past the show, for yourself.
Oh, for me? And for me, I hope I leave with a sense of knowing that I really started something and built something from the ground up, and I did it. And I followed through, and hopefully that pushes me to have that confidence to make more things like that in the future.
So that sounds wonderful. What a lovely note to leave this on. And like I say, I look forward to coming to see the show, catch up with you in Edinburgh.
Yeah, it'll be nice to meet in real life, and it'll be your first Fringe.
Yeah, my first Fringe as well. Yeah, and I'm super excited myself to get there and to continue these conversations. Maybe we'll have a follow-up conversation with your director involved as well.
That would be great.
And see if any of those hopes and dreams for the festival are coming true, which I'm sure, having spoken to you, that they will.
Oh, thank you. Putting it into the universe.
We're putting it out there.
Yeah, we'd love to chat there.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Elaine. I really do appreciate it. I wish you all the best with your run in New York and as you hit the Edinburgh Fringe as well. Just one more time, remind me, the show, Pretty Good, Not Bad, where to find it and what time it's on.
Okay, Pretty Good, Not Bad is at the Space UK. The first week from the 12th to the 19th is at the Stevenson at 10 o'clock. And then at the Haldane for the second week to the 24th at 11 o'clock. Great.
Thank you ever so much for joining me for this conversation. I really do appreciate it.
Nice to meet you, Martin.
And you as well. And if anyone has been watching or listening into this conversation, we appreciate you for joining us. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.